Good afternoon, Cedarfield family. I hope this February 15th at 3 o'clock finds you well. Thank you for tuning in today. Here at 3 o'clock, we have a very short live chat here, probably consisting of about 20 minutes. I'm just going to go over three particular topics. One, current situation. Again, our dashboard in and around the Commonwealth of Virginia. Number two, talk a little bit about the COVID-19 vaccine distribution. And three, probably most people have on their mind, the COVID-19 evolving preparedness plan and some of the things that consists in rolling things back into our campus, our community. And then fourth, talk a little bit about any frequently asked questions from residents, families, team members, and or Pinnacle Advantage members. First, the dashboard here with the 7-day positivity rates. As of 5 o'clock yesterday, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have a 9% positivity rate, which is down from Wednesday of last week at 9.8. In Central Virginia, again, the 7-day positivity rate is 9%, and that's down from last Wednesday at 10.3. In Rico County, we are at a 8.5%, and that's down from 9.4 last Wednesday. Richmond is down 1 full percentage point to 7.3, down from 8.3 last Wednesday. And then Chesterfield is down slightly at 11.3 from 11.5 last Wednesday. And so last Wednesday, 5 of those metrics, 3 of them were below double digits. And the good news as of today, 4 of those 5 metrics are now in double digits, or below double digits, excuse me. So that's just great news. Things are heading in the right direction from that one particular metric viewpoint. Here at Cedarfield, our dashboard is as follows. In the North household, which is in our health center, the dashboard is completely green, residents or team members. In the Central household in the health center, the dashboard is completely green for residents and team members. In the South household, that dashboard is green for residents and team members. In assisted living, the dashboard is also green for residents and team members. In our memory support area, that dashboard is green for residents and team members. And in independent living, for residents that live in the cottages, the dashboard is green. And for the residents that live in the main building, we have 1 resident that is COVID-19 positive through 1 particular test. There's also another test that shows that this individual is negative. So we're going to keep the main building here at a yellow trending green. It's a very low exposure at this point here in the main building. Our dashboard for housekeeping is also green. There are no team members in the housekeeping department that are COVID-19 positive and or any tests that are pending. In our dining services department, that dashboard is now green. All those team members have cycled off of their 14-day quarantine. In our lifestyles and wellness department, that dashboard is green. In our marketing department, the dashboard is green. Maintenance department, administration, human resources, and the business office, the dashboard is green. So here we are on February 15th, and there are 0 residents that are positive or pending test. There are 0 team members and that are positive or pending test, and currently there are 0 team members with any COVID-19 in-home exposures. The entire dashboard is green. So that is just great news to celebrate here on the beginning of the week, that we cycled off of these last 7 weeks of a few outbreaks in particular departments. And it just hats off to the folks that are leading the charge around, first of all, the residents who have been so patient in and around these spaces, who may have loved ones living in there and or volunteering their time, but yet could not because of a lot of the restrictions here. Those households and neighborhoods have been on a red dashboard protocol. And then particularly thank you to Connie McGowan, our infection control nurse, Ann Hopper in the clinic, Matt Dameron, and David Stewart, Jim Veneer, Chef Tyrone, those individuals taking the lion's share of cycling off these last 2 outbreaks in the households in the neighborhood. In addition to that, the clinical leaders and the neighborhoods of these households, along with all of their nurses, the CNAs, the LPNs, the registered nurses, April and Katie, CJ and Amy and Jessica and Julie taking the helm at each of these particular households up on the 4th floor, have just really done an amazing job of taking our protocols and moment by moment making sure that they're keeping themselves and their team safe and the residents safe. So we have officially cycled off all of these outbreaks. So all that is just great news. In terms of the vaccine distribution, obviously we had a huge clinic here on Friday. We had nurses around the clock going into Sunday morning, and very, very few situations where any resident was pulling their pull cord due to some severe reactions. Actually, 0 severe reactions. A couple people did experience some mild symptoms, and as with the team members, there was many residents who experienced, especially in the first 24 hours, a lot of fatigue and achiness around the joints. But it seems like all of those folks have recovered as of this morning, and everyone is just so delighted to have this vaccine now in our bodies, working towards a 95% effective rate, which is just great news. Seemed like the vaccine distribution went well in the cottages of those pharmacists going door to door. So we thank again the Walgreens team for their willingness to make this exception for us. And additionally, it seemed like the feedback that we've received in the last 3 days, the clinic here in the Fellowship Hall, the Atrium Cafe, and then certainly the door-to-door clinic in memory support and assisted living all went as well. In total, we provided 494 vaccines last Friday. The community is at about a 90% participation rate. A little bit about that participation rate in a second. And again, I just want to thank everyone for last Friday for your patience. There was a lot going on that day with the weather and trying to work through that particular preparedness plan while executing the logistics of the vaccine clinic. And we just really appreciate your patience, and B, everyone's participation to get to this 90% rate. It's just great. Those of you that did receive calls from Walgreens on Friday. Just want y'all know that that call was legitimate. We do apologize that we did not give you advance warning. The clinic, Walgreens automated system makes those telephone calls as reminders of the fact that you are actually receiving your vaccine. So apologize, it was a legitimate phone call, which I want to talk a little bit about scams here before we leave this live chat. We do have 2 more clinics coming up for the folks that received their first dose on February 4th. They will have a chance to come back and get their second dose on February 25th, a little less than 2 weeks away. And those that received their first dose on February 12th, last Friday, will come back on March 5th and receive their second dose. So we do have 2 additional clinics, smaller in nature, probably 50 people in each of those 2 clinics. In terms of the evolving preparedness plan, it's great news. Don't get me wrong. We have over 725 people that either work or live here that are vaccinated. And as this coming Friday, those 725 people, per all the research, will be 95%, will have a 95% effective rate with the virus. And all that is great news. We do need to be cautious about the couple of strains that are out there, the variants that are out there, and a lot of the research that is going on with those particular variants. In addition, we need to be really mindful that that while we are all vaccinated, the general population is not. And this vaccine does not, is probably one of the most commonly retrieved emails or text or phone calls from Thursday really all into this morning, is that can we still carry the virus even though that we have the vaccine? And the answer is yes. Just because we all have the vaccine doesn't mean that we can shed the virus and be walking away just clean as a whistle. The fact that we received that vaccine, we can still carry the virus. We may be asymptomatic and passing it along inadvertently to someone else. So we just really need to be vigilant still with our shared values. I'm sure you've all heard through the CDC interviews and VDH interviews over the weekend about how important it is to wear masks, even double masking in some instances. So our preparedness plan moving forward isn't quite as easy as saying, let's go back to February 2020 and just roll back things. So yours truly had the chance to talk with a couple of folks at the Virginia Department of Health last week. My main question was, what is your guidance? What is the CDC's guidance in helping Cedarfield with a scaling back of our plan into life of what we maybe knew as normal or working towards a new normal? And the Virginia Department of Health had very politely told me, Michael, we have many other vaccine clinics in the county and in the state of Virginia, and the CDC and the Virginia Department of Health are working 100% of their time, their intellect, and their energy in making sure the rest of these clinics go off without a hitch, much like perhaps many of you have viewed Cedarfield's clinic. And so there is no guidance with the CDC or the Virginia Department of Health on how to roll back in services at a community like Cedarfield. With that in mind, this week, some of the Cedarfield team members, along with some residents, are going to be talking about what does our plan look like. I think over these last 11 months, we kept scaling things back to protect people. And now I think we need to do the same thing in reverse. I think we need to scale things back in motion, mainly services and amenities and life of we knew it at Cedarfield, and talk about what those plans are. And so this week, yours truly is going to commence a couple of meetings, again, with some team members and residents to talk about a big picture and then some specific things that we want to roll back and how to roll back and what scale of rolling it back here in the next week or two. Remember, it takes another 7 days to become 95% effective, and we do have 2 other clinics to facilitate here at Cedarfield in order to get to that 90% participation rate. But this week, there's 3 main topics this week that I'm going to focus on, which hopefully, as we explore the topic, we will be able to really identify what and how and when to roll back in 3 particular topics. One is probably the obvious on everyone's mind. What does visitation look like? Can our sons, our daughters, our friends come and visit Cedarfield? So we're going to talk about visitation. I think that meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. The second is dining services. And what does that look like? Does that look like moving back to where we were 6 weeks ago, or maybe even a little bit more services rolling back in? And then the third topic has to do with traveling. If a resident and or a team member travels in and around the area or out of state, what does that look like? Particularly around the fact that a resident or a team member was or was not vaccinated. We really want to try to balance the fact that there is freedom of choice in being vaccinated. And so I know when I was watching the news over the weekend, I saw a lot of different organizations who were rolling things back into their operations. And one of the main things people needed to do in order to facilitate that was show them the white card, that the fact that they got vaccinated. I think we need to try to find a balance between people, when we roll back in, for example, visitation. You know, it's very difficult right now to get an appointment to get the vaccine. And so should we not allow those people not to come to Cedarfield just because it's very difficult to get the vaccine? Or should we think of a dual plan of people who are or are not vaccinated and how we treat those folks as they come onto the campus? I aspire to the latter, trying to open up the campus again. So those are the type of things that we are going to discuss this week, and over the next week or two, we will be talking about everything, including bridge. I know the bridge players want to get back as one example of many examples of different clubs and services and amenities and events that we really want to get back to. We're going to talk about them, and a couple of months ago, we published a 3-phase plan, phase 1, 2, and 3, and different things, a snapshot in time of what we can and can't do and the reasons why. So we're going to get back to that particular plan and publish something, hopefully by the early part of next week, and let the prevailing group, the collective group of residents and team members come together and come up with a plan here that makes sense for Cedarfield. Speaking of next week, so there's that plan. We're gonna try to publish something early next week mainly around visitation and dining, get those two services going. And then see how that goes, and then continue to fold things back in. Again, early next week, one of the other questions that have come into the administration suite today is, when can I have proof that I received the vaccine? When will I get that white card? And there's a few folks behind the scenes that are going to be making copies of that card and including that card, that COVID-19 vaccine card, for the team members' employment file and or the resident's electronic medical record. And once we do that, we hope to accomplish that this week, and so that the early part of next week, additionally, we can distribute those cards so everyone has proof of your vaccine. One other thing we're going to be doing in March, which I'm pretty excited about, we were just discussing this about an hour and a half ago. In March, on every Wednesday, looks like every Wednesday, we're going to hold a COVID-19 testing clinic. We're going to give people the chance to come into the fellowship hall, residents and team members alike, to get a rapid COVID-19 test. We're going to facilitate that throughout the entire month of March. And the reason we're doing this is many people have questions whether or not they're actually carrying the virus, even though the vaccine is protecting them. And so we want to give residents and team members another level of assurance that either they, in that one little snapshot of time, of whether they do or do not have the virus. And so we're going to, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be gearing up logistics and details to make this happen. But we do have a rapid test available for every team member and every resident on this campus. And we're going to facilitate testing clinics, looks like on Wednesdays, every Wednesday in the month of March. I'm pretty excited about that. One small item I just want to keep on the forefront of residents' mind as we continue to roll back in services and amenities like visitation. The front parking becomes really a critical parking area for our guests, so they know where to go relatively easy and not have to search in and around the campus for a parking space. There are traditionally about 12 to 15 cars out front, and we're asking those particular residents, if you have a car out front, if there's plenty of parking in and around D-Wing and Parkview entrance, to relocate those cars. Last night we did a 10th audit of parking spaces at midnight, and in and around D-Wing all the way through Parkview entrance, there are 34 empty spaces at midnight. So there's plenty of parking on that side. All right, let me check my frequently asked questions. One question coming in: when do you anticipate reopening the dining room? And I hope real soon. We have a meeting tomorrow. I know David and Jim and Chef Tyrone have been talking about the reopening here for the last 2 weeks. They have a pretty solid plan, and we're going to talk about that plan tomorrow and talk about what that plan represents and the timing of opening the dining room. So that news is, I should be able to deliver news of the dining room here on Wednesday. Okay, I see no other text or emails coming in. Thank you for tuning in to this 30-minute live chat. We appreciate your time. If anyone has any questions about the content of this live chat, please certainly feel free to come down to the administration suite or give me a call, and we can just review your questions throughout today and even into tomorrow. If you're listening to this video tonight, and again, any questions that are popping up for you, please absolutely feel free to reach down to the administration suite and or Matt Dameron, our Associate Executive Director, who is in charge of healthcare, assisted living, and memory support. You can certainly call to him or any one of the neighborhood leaders or clinical leaders about where we're at with our preparedness plans. Until then, I will see you, if not sooner, on Wednesday at 3 o'clock for our next live chat. I hope you all have a good night and a great Tuesday, and I'll talk with you soon. Thank you.